Hey everybody, story time. You're probably wondering what all these boxes are for. They are for, we're going to open them up. I'm going to try something different. Daniel, I said pay attention. Leave Danny alone and just get over here. You pay attention. So what we're going to do is we're going to open this up and we're going to open these boxes and we're going to find out what's in here, and then I'm going to put what's in here on here, and you're probably looking at the front of the car and you probably figured it out already. So yeah, we're going to try something different. I'm going to tell you a story because it's Saturday, story time. I'm going to put what's in this box, the contents of this box, on this radiator, and yes, you're very smart. You figured it out. Good job. And we're going to go from there. So see you guys in just a second. You too. And we're back. If you don't have you have a Leatherman, I know you do. If you don't have an actual Leatherman, you really should get one, because these are like the Swiss Army knife of like Swiss Army knife tool things. Anyway, where's my J-Cat? You have to bring that up now? It's in the car. Fine, have it your way. I'll go get it. Kids these days. These youngsters gotta just always gotta be causing problems. 4-speed. You don't get to see that, but I did. It's my 4-speed. Okay, how's that? Is that better? Is that better, Daniel? Okay. Welcome back. Not you. Welcome back. Hats on. My drink's over here. What am I drinking? Lava lamp. Sorry guys, you can't see it, you're stationary. You get to see the lava lamp back there. Today it's another C2O. You want to see it? Can you see it? Is that better? C2O energy drink. This is made from coconuts. Lemon lime, no artificial anything in it. It's just like, 4 or 5 hours sleep. You should try it sometime with all the 2-minute engine installations that you're doing, Daniel. And if you don't know who Roland Leon is, oh man, Maui boy. Local Hawaiian hero. Winter Nationals. Okay, so I went on the YouTubes, or the internets, and I bought a 17-inch, 180-watt fan. And we're going to try this out. This is supposed to be 17 inches in diameter. And what's awesome is this here core support, or fan core, is supposed to be 7 inches. So we're going to stick this down here and see if it fits. If it does, and this thing spins. It's a puller style fan. And maybe you guys may not know, if you want to change this to a pusher style, not only do you reverse polarity of the motor, you also spin the blade around. Most people don't know that. But I prefer pulling fans, always work best. A puller fan, let's see if it fits. Is it going to fit in here with this? Hold on. Hold, please. Hold. Got to move the shocks that way. Those are air shocks. MA700 is the Monroe number. And coincidentally, the Napa number for... Oh, it's going to fit perfectly. Look at that. Man, that's going to pull air like a monster. Dang. You want to see? I know you want to see. Look at that. Look how much room is right there. Plenty of room for activities. I know. This will work great. It's supposed to do, so it's 180 watt motor. It's supposed to be like almost 3,200 CFM, which this 5-core monster Walker radiator from the 80s, if it doesn't leak, and this really cool flexi hose that you guys know who hates these, this should work. Oh, you know what? I'm going to validate his concern. I know. he has an issue with him, and he's 100% correct. So a formed radiator hose, like this one, hold it, let me get it. A formed radiator hose does not put tension on your upper neck on your these old radiators, and especially on an older car, a factory one where they made them where they're really thin and they're brittle from age. That is a very, very smart thing to do. And trust me, I was checking my mic. Trust me, if I could get this hose to fit and reduce down small enough to fit this 1 inch on this here radiator, I definitely would have run a molded hose. So my flexi hose has a spring in it, and it's such thicker rubber, and it has that spring and corrugated that it will eventually, if this thing is under a ton of tension side load, it will break my radiator. I don't really have a lot of faith that this radiator is going to do a whole lot for me, so I'm not really that concerned about it. What I'm going to do eventually is I'm going to buy a bigger aluminum radiator. There's one that I found that the guy makes that's 16 or 17 inches tall, and it's 32 inches wide, and it's like, I think it's a triple pass, but it'll cool like, I think almost 900 horsepower in Tri-5 with two big 16-inch fans. And it's made for, they used it on, there's a guy that ran one on Power Tour years back that Howard Magazine did a video on, or like a feature on it. It was a 55 Chevy with I think he was running a 585 big block. But yeah, that's going to cool it. So we're just going to figure this out. Let me get this stuff out, and I'm going to tell you a story time story. So, oh, what's in this package? You'll find out later. I'll save that for a different time. Look at these cute little push pins. So the story time, I was going to tell you a story about the 57 Chevy pickup that I built for my buddy Ben. Yeah, the one that the burnout video. Yeah, that's the one. And I'll put that burnout video up, since you asked. That burnout video, I'll put it up here real quick. Now that you've seen that, it was great. It's a good time. I worked at another shop. You may have seen my sweatshirt that says Qualifab fabrication stuff, race cars and stuff. Or you've seen my red shirt with the blown Camaro that says like street car shootout. My buddy Tim at Qualifab in Idaho, that's his. He promoted that, and he has like a fab shop. The guy's amazing. Really good fabricator and super cool guy. I built that truck over here, believe it or not. So here's the story. But the history behind that burnout has to do with it getting shipped over there, and then me having it over there in Idaho. And then one day during work, Tim's like, "Hey man, I want to see if that old Chevy will do a burnout." And I was like, "Okay." So I went outside, and what you see is what you get. And then I did a nice little 1-2 shift, and the front brakes, I was on the front brakes, and I had the rears backed off, and it was pushing the front wheels in on. It was pushing them down the leaves, and it was actually pushing it towards a curb on that driveway, and that's why I let off, or I'd have just kept going. The interesting part was like literally where his building is, because he owns that building and that whole warehouse. The street I was heading towards the street. I was in the driveway heading towards the street, and I'll put up a picture of what the marks look like from the street or from the building out. Like, right, I'll put it up here in a second. You'll see it. Anyway, that cross street that I'm heading towards, down the street at the end, literally a football field length, is the highway patrol main office for that area. So like the proving grounds everywhere they do all the track for testing and stuff, and the office is right there. So I know that they heard me, and they were watching to see if I actually pulled that sucker out on the street. So that truck sat in that spot on that road, or right there because it's private property, you can do whatever you want. And in his driveway where he owned it, and there's burnouts that happen all the time there, if I'd have like burned out and then got on the street, they'd have tagged me. But I sat there and I went back to work, and so like an hour or so later or two, I got in the truck and left. But they didn't bother me. But I was aiming for the street, and I was going to stop right at the edge of the curb before I got to the sidewalk, and be like, well, and then that's it. But that didn't happen. Anyway, so the story with that truck is, my buddy Ben, who moved over here and hold please, let him in. Oh, I picked the saw again. He moved over here in like 92 or 3, and he had built a 57 Cameo. I may have told you guys part of this. And it was beautiful. Turquoise, like that seafoam green, or really pretty like that. Like the larkspur blue color that this car is supposed to be on the back. A little darker than what it is now. He built that. And hold these, Dan, hold these. Anyway, he built that truck, 327, 4-speed out of a 66 Vet. And all stock suspension, and moved over here. When he moved over here, he brought that truck with him, fully restored, beautiful truck. And he took it to the Big Island over in Hilo, and my buddy Rob, who is over there right now, who does, How Red Is Your Neck, that little 6-liter S10, he can verify that, the sulfuric acid from the VOG, we have volcanic fallout stuff when the volcano's going off, it hits the ocean, and that's why we don't have emissions, is we have VOG. So the VOG has sulfuric acid, and you guys know what acid does to metal. Well, in like 6 months, that cab, because of the drip rails and all that stuff, where the paint was the thinnest and whatnot, and where the edges were the sharpest, where it had worn away, and it rained so much over there on that side of the island, it's basically a rainforest. The sulfuric acid just ate that cab, I think, in like 6 months. Literally 6 months, Daniel. 6 months. Can you imagine that? 57 big window Cameo with no cab. So my buddy Ben cut that sucker up. But before he cut it up, he purchased the truck in the video that you see as a parts truck, and it came out of California, and at some point it was a really nice truck, and it got like just whacked in the nose. So it had different color fenders on it. And then they changed the cab, and so the bed, the doors, and I think the driver's fender are the original, like a metallic, like a super awesome metallic green. And how these springs hold tension on these clips. If you guys haven't put electric fans in, I'll show you. So on the fan, there's these tabs that go right here, these holes. And this goes through the radiator, and when it comes to the other side of the core, it has these push locks. And some guys will put like springs on them here to help keep tension. I just pull them tight and do it because I don't want the spring tension and these to sit there and wear into my the fins on my core. So I don't put those in. I do put these little rubber booty things in, insulators. But anyway, back to the truck. There might be brackets here somewhere. Hold on. Hold, please. Ooh, there is more toys in here. There are L brackets. Okay. Compose yourself. Okay. These little L brackets go on the fan. Anyway, so he bought this truck. It was a wrecked truck. These slide in these little slots like this right here. So he bought the truck. It was wrecked. He bought it so he could he wanted the cab and a few pieces to put the Cameo back together, just like any one of us did. Bought a parts car. You know what I'm talking about, Dan. You buy a parts car. So he bought the parts car, did all that. Never got around to doing the truck. Got busy, moved over here, and the truck went into his warehouse down in the base yard in the middle of the island here, where it was there for, I think, 27 years. And of course the title was no longer valid and went missing, and California doesn't have records to it anymore, so the truck never got anything done with it. And then Ben got, the people that owned the base yard where he was in, they wanted to expand their location, so they were evicting him, and so he took the truck and parked it somewhere else. And I told you the story about the 45. Did I tell that story about the Chevy car with the 45-inch flathead that I fixed? That was restored, but I fixed it? If not, remind me, and I'll tell you. put it in the comments, and I'll tell you that story too, because that's a pretty good story. Anyway, I met Ben's buddy through all that, and I ended up asking him if he would sell that truck, and he would never sell that truck to me, and I wanted it so bad, but he just said no. He wanted to keep it. Incidentally, I'm putting the fan more, if I had a shroud, this would be better. I'm putting the fan towards the top of the tank because the hot water comes in here first, and it cools at the bottom as it drops, as it goes in. So I'm going to try and put the fan as high as I can to the top, and whatnot. And also, well, I can't go into the tank, dummy. And also, you know, I want the fan to pull anyway. I asked Ben if he'd sell it. He wouldn't sell it to me, that truck, at all. Like, not interested. And then one day, Ben said, what would you do with that truck if you had it? And I said, well, I'd clip it with like a, you know, a mullet Camaro. And he said, what do you mean? I said, well, I'd take it like a Camaro, like a 70. Oh, that was dumb. Stupid dumb guy. Always pay attention. This is why I don't tell stories when I'm working. Always pay attention. I missed the top of the fan against the tank. That was dumb. Anyway, he said, what would you do with it? And I said, well, I'd do a mullet Camaro swap. I'd swap out the whole front suspension frame and everything and change the rear end, and I'd do it with like a 74 to 81 Camaro Trans Am suspension. And he said, huh, that sounds like fun. And so he thought about it for a while, and he said, okay, let's do that. He said, you can't have the truck. I won't sell it to you, but let's do what you said. And I said, okay. And so he went to the mainland, and he bought a bunch of parts. And he found a guy in Oregon that had a bunch of 67 to 72 and 49 to 54, and I think his name's Mike. All sorts of hot rod parts, and truck parts. But he ended up buying a 70 Chevelle front clip. It was off of a this is not working. My core is not happy about this. He bought a 70 Chevelle. No, go this way. There it goes. Got to get it between the fins and the tubes that are running down. It was a 70 Chevelle big block front clip that it was already hacked up. The frame had been, so basically it was from the frame that went down and like that, and as it goes a perimeter frame, it had been cut back here somewhere under like the front seats. So he bought that, and someone had already stuck a 12 bolt in it out of it was actually a 68 El Camino. So I thought that's pretty cool. So I kept the 12 bolt in there, and I rebuilt it and put an Eaton True Track with 410s. And then Ben found, wow, that is so not even close to symmetrical. What's going on here? I have to have symmetry. Sorry. Hold, please. So Ben found another buddy of mine, actually, coincidentally, the guy that I got this blower from, my buddy Kurt. You remember Kurt? No, you don't know Kurt. What am I asking you for? He, who I got this blower from, gave him the T5, world-class T5 that I stuck in that truck. And so that was in it. And that thing had been like, I think Kurt had it in a race car or something at some point. But that ended up being in that truck. And so I went through the trans, and it was in good shape. And then I got a motor from a buddy of mine, Sean, who lives here. It was a 91. It was a one-piece rear main seal, small block Chevy that had Wool Products heads on it and stuff like that, and it had been gone through but never run. So I went through it again and changed the cam and a few things. And man, oh man, that truck was, that thing ran really good. I clipped it. No, I have like pictures and stuff I can put up. of like where I diagrammed it out and leveled it when I stuck it in there. And I used my motorcycle jack to hold the clip in place in the frame after I leveled it, and I got it all. Oh, that thing's not happy at all. I'll probably just put a hole in my radiator. We'll see. If it starts leaking when I put water in here, we'll know. Oh, there it goes. Had to go past the pin. Oh, it doesn't. It's not happy. That side's not happy at all. Anyway, I did clipped it, and then got it running for the first time, like the day before we moved away from here, literally. Yeah, that was awesome. Got it running, took it for a test drive, and I can't find the video clip, but I had used like tie wire or baling wire called tie wire, and I bought Hooker Super Comps for it, and I had tie wired on a set of giant, those big tube like diesel truck bus mufflers, 2 of them all the way out the back with tips. And I'd wired them on there, so when I broke the motor in, it was super quiet. And I have a video of it actually running at 3,000 RPMs for like, I broke the cam in proper, but I took a video of it running. And I'll put that clip up so you guys can see that, probably right here. And it's super quiet. I think you can hardly hear it. And it ended up, we took off down the street, and here, hold it in there. We went around the block. We went maybe like a block and a half. And coming up the street to my house, one of the pipes fell off, and we drove over the muffler. That was hilarious. I would love to have been like, you know, I'd love to have been a bystander to see that happen. It's one of those things you couldn't make up. This is not wanting to go through this. Core. Different angle. And then I left. We got on a plane the next day and left. And then Ben decided he was going to leave here too. And he left like 9 months, a year later or so. And he ended up meeting us in Eugene, Oregon, and where we were staying, and brought the truck. And we were actually leaving that day that he got there. He timed it toward the day we were moving back to Idaho, because my father-in-law, we needed, and I was sick at the time. I had a specialist over there, so we were going for that, but I ended up staying because my father-in-law needed some help. So my mother and father-in-law, so we went over there, and he, the day we left Eugene, he came, and then we all caravaned over to Idaho from Eugene with that truck, and then he just left it with me and took off that day. He's like, okay, finish doing all the stuff you wanted to do it here. So in Idaho, I put Phytech fuel injection on it. I'll get into that later. And I have a hatred for that stuff, but for that particular unit. But we did that, and yeah, drove that thing around, and I drove it every day. Drove it. My buddy Tim had that shop, and he wanted me to come help him, so I used to drive it to work all the time. It was super fun. These things just push on like zip ties, by the way, these little locks. And I'm not putting the rubber things in there because I don't want to waste them on this radiator if it doesn't work. I'll use them on, I'll cut these fans and put them on something else. But anyway, I took that truck to work and drove it every day. And then I ended up taking it to Sandy, Oregon, which is where Ben was staying. And the truck's there right now, over by Portland. And the truck ended up, no joke, with the small block that was like 10.4 I think, with the World Products heads on it. And I put a great big Howard's cam in it. Like circle track, but like 100 and... I think the LDA was like 104 or something. Not solid. It was basically a hydraulic circle track cam. But under the 550 lift rule, I think, is what I put in there. And I can't remember, but that thing sounded like a sprint car. It was pretty rowdy. Through full pipes and everything. In fact, I have a video of it sitting in front of my driveway in like November, and it's pushing water out of the pipes like 20 feet. Just condensation, just blowing water out of the pipes. It was the coolest thing. I'll put that video up. You can watch it too, and listen to the cam. It was pretty good. But that's with the fuel injection. But I drove it to Sandy. Not joking, Dan. I'm telling you the truth here. And it got 22, just under 23 miles a gallon, with that T5 and the 410s. That overdrive. And it was a point. I think it's a point. 0.7 or something, 0.78 or 0.68 overdrive. So with the 410s, it was like running 220. And it had 255 60s on the back, or 70s. 255 60s. I forget what size tire was on the back. It was taller. It might have been 255 70s, but they were tall. 275 60s, that's what they were. I had those on the back on those old Kragers that a buddy of mine gave to me in Oregon. Off of his high school car, which was a 69 Chevelle. He gave them to me. I had 15 6s and 15 8s. And I threw them on there and drove that thing around. That truck was so much fun. And it just ripped. And I didn't have to push it that hard to do burnouts or anything. But it was a good truck. Ran great. Didn't wheel hop or nothing. It was a good truck. I was kind of jealous. After I finished it, I really wanted to keep it. But anyway, that's that story, and there's the fan in my car. I'll go ahead and snip these off. Hold, please. Oh, well, there's a bunch of trash over here that somebody left. Oh, also, if you ever do zip ties, get these little tiny flush cutters, because how zip ties will they're the sharpest things in the world when you cut those little tabs. This is flush cuts. These are what they're for. You just go right to the end of it, flush cut it, and you just move it like that, and it's nice and not sharp. I know this isn't I know it's not a zip tie, Daniel. Thanks for knowing. Oh no. I cut too deep on that one. That was stupid. Oh, and that one too? Really? Oh, are you kidding me? Nope, that's exactly what happened, and I don't have enough of this pin to work. Guess what I get to do? I get to buy... No, put them on the other way. Will they work the other way? I'm going to actually stick a zip tie through this right now. It's not going to work. Let's see if this works. Putting one backwards. Oh, I just cut it way too short. That's what happened. Oh, that was dumb. Yep. I screwed that up royally. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the Storytime fiasco. And a couple of burnout videos. It's pretty fun. The truck ripped. I'll see it again someday. Yeah. I'll talk to you later. See you guys later. Have a good one. You too.